General Hospital spoilers. Michael attacked after shocking revelation. Morgan's return flips the table with two big advantages. What begins as a quiet morning in the Corinthos mansion spirals into a violent nightmare as Michael Corinthos is brutally attacked, right after overhearing something he was never meant to hear. But in a twist no one saw coming, Morgan Corinthos, long believed dead, reemerges from the shadows of Port Charles, wielding two unexpected advantages that could save his brother and change the future of the Corinthos family forever. Brace yourselves, GH fans. This is not a drill. Michael Corinthos had always prided himself on being the most level-headed member of the Corinthos family. He carried the Corinthos legacy in one hand and the Corinthos name in the other, trying to balance the chaos that surrounded him. But nothing could prepare him for the earth-shattering truth he overheard outside the Metro Court's private lounge. Michael had arrived early to confront Valentine Cassadine about his recent shady interactions with Yelku. But before he could enter the suite, he heard muffled voices, Sonny and Valentine, deep in conversation. The two men had clearly not noticed the cracked door. If Michael ever finds out the real reason we kept Morgan hidden all these years, Valentine muttered, voice low. Michael's blood ran cold. What he doesn't know won't hurt him, Sonny replied darkly. But if he pushes, we cut him off. For good. Michael staggered back, shocked, his hand flying to his mouth. Morgan alive?
Hidden? Why?
By Sonny? That was the moment everything changed. Michael barely made it to the parking garage before the pain hit. Not emotional pain, real pain. Physical. Sharp. Brutal. A masked assailant lunged from behind a pillar, slamming Michael against the concrete wall. The force drove the wind out of him. A steel pipe connected with his ribs. Again. And again. Next time, the attacker hissed, "Stay out of business, that ain't yours." Michael collapsed, bloodied and barely conscious. But as he faded into the darkness, his mind was not on the pain. It was on the truth. Morgan was alive. Morgan Corinthos had been presumed dead for over 7 years after his car exploded in a devastating blast on the outskirts of Port Charles. His death had shattered the family. But what if it had all been a lie? Now, in a scene straight out of a dream or a nightmare, Morgan walked through the doors of GH, his leather jacket worn, his eyes sharper, and his demeanor colder than anyone remembered. He headed straight for the ICU, where Michael lay unconscious, bruised and bandaged. Standing over his brother's broken body, Morgan whispered, "I told you I'd never let them destroy you." Morgan's survival wasn't an accident. After the explosion, he'd been taken, by orders of Valentine Cassadine, who had seen potential in Morgan as a weapon against Sonny. Drugged, manipulated, and locked away in a European facility for years, Morgan had undergone reconditioning. But it didn't work, not fully. 2 years ago, Morgan escaped. He'd been watching ever since. In that time, Morgan made 2 powerful allies, 2 advantages he was now ready to bring back to Port Charles. Claudette Beaulieu, long believed to be in hiding, was with Morgan in the final years of his captivity.
She saw the deals Valentine made.
She knew the secrets. Now, she was in Port Charles, staying at an undisclosed location, ready to testify. Before Morgan left Europe, he stole something critical from Valentine, a coded ledger revealing the underground network Valentine used to fund Yelku manipulation, arms trades, and cover Morgan's imprisonment. With Claudette's testimony and the ledger, Morgan had everything he needed to blow the doors off the Cassadine lies and confront Sonny with a betrayal too deep to forgive. Morgan's first stop wasn't to reunite with Carly. It wasn't even to confront Valentine. It was to face Sonny Corinthos. The confrontation took place at Pozzolo's behind closed doors. The guards were dismissed. No one else heard what was said, until later. But what we do know is that voices were raised. Glass shattered. Chairs flipped. When Sonny emerged, his face was pale. He looked like a man who'd seen a ghost, and lost his soul in the process. Rumors began to swirl. Had Sonny known Morgan was alive? Why had he kept it from Carly and Michael? And what deal had he made with Valentine to justify such a move? Carly was in the Crimson offices when she got the call. Morgan's alive. She didn't believe it.
Couldn't.
until she saw him. Their reunion was anything but smooth. Carly ran into the Metro court lobby expecting a tearful hug, a second chance. Instead, Morgan stood there cold, arms crossed. "You let him do this to me," Morgan said. "I didn't know," Carly gasped. "But you trusted him. That's what hurts most." Carly collapsed into tears, begging for forgiveness. But Morgan, fractured by years of betrayal, wasn't ready to give it. Not yet. Valentine Cassadine had anticipated Morgan's return. He always had contingency plans. He sent his new enforcer, a mysterious woman known only as Eris, to track down Claudette. But Morgan, anticipating this move, had already relocated her under Jason and Spinelli's protection. Still, Valentine wasn't done. He released a falsified video showing Morgan during one of his most unstable moments, raging, incoherent, breaking down in a padded room. The aim? Discredit Morgan before he could testify or sway public opinion. But Morgan turned the tables. With Spinelli's help, the original footage was restored, revealing the true villains behind his condition: Valentine and Sonny. With the ledger in hand and Claudette's corroboration, Ned and Brooklyn acted swiftly. A shareholder meeting was called at Yelku. Morgan, backed by Michael's legal proxies, dropped the documents on the table. The evidence was overwhelming: illegal funding, blackmail, asset manipulation. Valentine tried to deny everything. But then Tracy Quartermain walked in. "I've been monitoring this whole operation," she said coolly. "And I moved to remove Valentine Cassadine as CEO, effective immediately." Unanimous vote. The Quartermains had their company back. Yelku was finally clean, thanks to Morgan. After several days in a coma, Michael finally opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was Morgan, sitting beside him, reading a tattered copy of The Count of Monte Cristo. "Always said you were dramatic," Michael whispered. "You always said I wouldn't live long enough to read again," Morgan replied, tears in his eyes. The brothers embraced, broken but healing. Michael was still fragile, but emotionally, he was stronger than ever. And with Morgan back, he didn't feel alone. As Port Charles reeled from Morgan's resurrection and Michael's attack, bigger questions loomed. Who ordered the hit on Michael? Was Sonny's involvement deeper than he admitted? Could Morgan forgive Carly and Sonny? Or would he take them down? One thing was certain: Morgan wasn't leaving quietly. With two powerful weapons in his hands, truth and loyalty, he was determined to rebuild his life and protect the brother who never stopped believing in him. But not everyone welcomed him back. Christina, furious that Morgan stayed hidden during her darkest hour, confronted him at the docks. "You think you're the hero in this story?" she snapped. "You abandoned us. Don't pretend you're back to save the day." Morgan said nothing, but in his eyes, a storm gathered. Just when everyone believed Valentine was the mastermind, the final twist came from an unexpected source. Victor Cassadine's will. Recently unearthed, the will contained a sealed letter to Valentine and another to Morgan. In the letter to Valentine, instructions to fake Morgan's death to manipulate Sonny into surrendering his power to Cassadine hands. But in the letter to Morgan, a hidden clue that Victor wasn't the true architect. Someone else had pulled the strings behind the scenes. And they were still in Port Charles. Morgan's eyes widened as he read the name. It was someone he trusted. Someone who was now targeting Michael again. As May's sweeps hit full throttle, General Hospital fans can expect Morgan taking over Sonny's old network with his own code of honor. Michael making a miraculous recovery and aligning with his brother to take on their mutual enemies. A shocking betrayal from someone inside the Corinthos circle. Carly torn between her loyalty to Sonny and her maternal instinct to protect Morgan. Claudette's testimony causing ripples that reach as far as Winmere and Pentagon files. Michael may have nearly died, but thanks to Morgan's return, he now holds the greatest weapon of all, the truth. And this time, the brothers Corinthos are fighting back together.